What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to the very first, the inaugural WXW Women's Champion as she heads into Josh Barnett's Bloodsport on October 11th. She is the one and only Killer Kelly. Kelly, what's going on?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I am absolutely thrilled that Bloodsport is coming October 11th. I've made a point to tell Josh Barnett over the last year and a half, every time I saw him, like, when are we getting another Bloodsport? How much I love the product. And when I saw your name announced as one of the participants, I was like, yes,
I'm
because
so
that is
happy.
a style that fits you like a glove, you know, and I mean, how excited are you?
I'm so excited. You have no idea. When I was first announced for WrestleMania weekend, I was like head over heels. I was so excited, and then it got canceled because of COVID, and I was like, no, the one show that I really wanted to do. God damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, fuck it. I mean, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. Obviously, this should have been a banner year for a lot of wrestling promotions, a lot of MMA promotions, a lot of everything. People's personal lives. People were getting promotions at their jobs, starting new jobs, starting their own businesses, and it just threw everything into the proverbial grinder.
Yeah.
And here we are, but we're surviving though.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I definitely want to get into the genesis of your career, and I said genesis not just because I'm wearing a Phil Collins T-shirt,
Oh,
not at
wow.
all.
Great.
But I mean, your start. First off, when you were a young gal growing up in Portugal, I mean, what made you decide to eventually leave home and then start training? Like, what was your first kind of impressions of what this is in terms of pro wrestling? And I mean, yeah, who are those people that inspired you?
So it was Kane. I first saw Kane and I was like, oh my God, I want to be him. I really want to be him. And I was like 7. So I thought like the whole pyro and fire and stuff like that. I was like, oh my God, it's so cool. I really want to be him. But then I grew up and I started realizing that the dream was like nonsense. Like I couldn't be a wrestler. I'm from Portugal. It's impossible to be a wrestler. Only Americans can do it and English speaking people can do it. And I was like, oh, okay, so the dream started like slowly started to fade out. Then I was 14. I discovered a place that trained wrestling, like it was just a bunch of people with a bunch of crash pads doing moves. And I was like, oh my God, the dream is alive. And then it was a diva search. I was like, oh, I can be a diva. I just need to put some breast implants and then I can be in WWE. um, so yeah, that was like my childhood. My dream faded out. Then it lit up another spark. And then I was like, oh, I'll never be a diva. I'm so Portuguese. I can't do it. And then I was like, how old was I? Like 23, 24. Um, I started training in a legit place. It's WP Wrestling Portugal. My trainer was actually trained by Lance Storm, so he knows a thing or two. So he said, okay, let's train like more seriously. You really want to pursue this dream. Then I found out WXW and I was like, okay, this is now or never. I'm gonna pursue my dream. If it doesn't pan out, fuck it. Oh, can I swear?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. You do whatever you want. I'm
Okay.
going to tell Killer Kelly what to do. Fuck no, that's not happening.
Thank you. So yeah, I said, fuck it, I need to do it. And then I did it and it actually panned out. So
I,
everything
I
worked out.
I think it worked out pretty damn well for you, and none more evidence in the fact that, I mean, you started training at WXW and you became the very first women's champion. You
Yeah.
started training. I mean, it almost reminds me of Gail Kim, right?
Mhm.
Where when she went to TNA, there wasn't even a women's division, right? She was kind of
Yeah.
a valet, you know, and for America's Most Wanted. And there wasn't even a division for her to kind of compete in, and she kind of ushered in, and that's almost the instance of you as well, where there wasn't any formal division. There might have been exhibition matches at
Yeah.
WXW in terms of females, but nothing. I love. I'm kind of a belt mark, right? So, especially in the instance of combat sports, you have to have something that somebody would want to literally risk life and limb to get, right? So
Mhm.
that's a big shiny gold belt. It's the ultimate hero story where, I mean, theoretically speaking, you can get your ass kicked for 364 days out of the year, and then that one big setting, that one moment, that one match that you get to topple your foe that's kicked your ass for 364 days.
Yeah.
And in so to it, you can call yourself the best in the world, and you have a big shiny piece of hardware that signifies such.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me. It literally kickstarted my career. Just that tiny moment. And yeah.
No, 100%. And Brinkster guy who's hanging out on YouTube, and a great graphic, by the way. Super excited for Killer Kelly in Bloodsport. I too, Brinkster guy, absolutely. And he says, a great analogy, which thank you, good sir, because I mean, I kind of do some of that, but ask my wife. I don't make two of them often, so this is recorded, so good deal. And he said, I never really thought of it like that, but I agree. And I agree with whatever you say, Brinkster guys. So how about that?
Hell
Absolutely.
yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And speaking of hell, right? Cain,
Ah.
right? The devil's favorite demon. That was the one who inspired Killer Kelly, right? So
Yes.
what was it about Cain that kind of pulled you in?
I mean, it's Cain. I mean, look at him. He's a demon. I am like, since I was a child, I've always been attracted to evil stuff and horror. Like, I literally, how old was I? Like 5 or 6. I saw my brother watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I joined in. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" And I wasn't scared of it. So basically, Kane kind of reminded me of Freddy. I was like, "Oh, me gusta. I like
Yeah.
it." Yeah, and I felt completely in love with him. Like, even I remember my disputes with my brother. My brother was like Team Undertaker, and I was Team Kane. I was like, dude, like, no, Undertaker has nothing on Kane. I mean, look at Kane, fire, everything. He's a freaking badass. So I fell in love with Kane. Not like in love, but like
Yeah.
in the other love.
Yeah, enraptured by the big red
Yeah.
machine,
Yeah.
and it's funny. Maybe I'm aging myself because my I have a younger sister, about 3.5 years younger than I,
Mm.
and ours was the Brett and Owen
Uh,
scenario. Yeah, and I mean, my son's name is Owen. That just but
oh,
and I've got a mini Bret Hart here, so I mean,
oh,
I think it's apropos. But
oh,
yeah,
I
so
have my little cane back at home and my cane pillow back at home. But I
oh
do have this.
oh yes, Freddie, yes, there you go. I'm just saying, Freddy Krueger, hell yes. No, I mean, and what era? Just to be kind of specific, like what era was your kind of awareness of Kane? Because obviously many different iterations, and here in the U.S. where we're kind of doing this from, I mean, there's kind of political uncertainty. But guess what? In Knox County, Kane's a mayor.
I
That
know.
is real.
I want to move there. I want Kane to be my mayor.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah, it's so cool. But yeah, it was which era? Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, but my nail
No,
polish is all out. Yeah, I just worked out, came here, and, like, I didn't even put makeup anything. I'm just like, this is me. So I'm sorry, guys
no,
and
you're
girls.
fine because I didn't put any work makeup, and I look like me as well, which may or may not. upset people. So there's that.
But yeah, the Kane that I fell in love with. Let me remember the. It was 98 or
Okay.
98. So it was Kane with the mask
Yeah.
that I legit fell in love with. And then he took the mask, and I remember a bunch of people saying, "Oh, he's so ugly. Oh, put the mask on." I was like, "No, he's perfect. No, people, you should accept Kane as he is. No mask or with mask. I love Kane." And that was me, just my little my little fight, and just being like, "No, Kane is perfect the way it is. He is. No bullying Kane, please."
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember that, and Rob Van Dam, kind of unmasking him on Raw when
Yeah.
they lost the tag team championships, and when they were like, "Oh, Kane's so ugly," and I was like, "You obviously haven't seen Isaac Yankem DDS, have you?"
Kane's perfect, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I mean, obviously, you kind of followed your fandom, but like, when did you make a philosophical change? Because I mean, a lot of us, right? We love the art and sport that is professional wrestling, right?
Mhm.
So, at what point did you kind of make a conscious switch and you're like, no, I mean, I'm still going to be a fan, but I also want to participate. I want my slice of the pie.
Hmm. I want to say, like, I kind of remember the moment, but at the same time, I'm not 100% sure because I was 7 years old. It was literally, I saw Kane. I was like, I want to do this. Like, I want this to be my job. Like, people growing up are like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a fireman, policeman, whatever. I was like, I want to be that. That's the thing that I want to do. And of course, my family are like, yeah, of course. Of course, you're going to be just like him. I'm like, yep, I am. And here I am.
I think you did it. I think you did
Yeah.
it. And in terms of like, you know, I was fortunate to grow up in Los Angeles, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we had, local promotions. I mean, when you're talking about like my era of growing up, we had like XPW as homegrown promotion. I mean, there was literally a 3-hour block on like not public access TV, but one notch above it,
Mm-hmm.
where on Saturday, like early Sunday morning, we had UPW, which featured the likes of Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and oh yeah, John Cena,
Yeah, I
right?
had
And then
some DVDs.
yeah, oh see, so you already know, right?
Yeah.
And then we had XPW as well, off of the ashes of obviously Eastern Championship or ECW, right? And then
Right.
we had an hour of ECW, right? So, and then there was also that like era before us where there was the Grand Olympic Auditorium where Chavo Guerrero Sr. and Superstar Billy Graham and Andre the Giant and his Battle Royals and all of that stuff. So we had that here, right? So
Yeah.
in terms of like local promotions where you were in Portugal, whether it be locally or the entire country, were there any local wrestling scenes?
Growing up, no. Growing up, that wasn't like there was a small promotion called APW, which was Association in Portuguese is Associação de Pro, ah, but Associação de Portugal Wrestling. I don't remember the name, but it was
Okay.
APW. Yeah, like girl, but I didn't know about that. The only thing that I knew it was WWF and WWE after. Uh, that wasn't like a wrestling scene that we would go on Sundays like, oh, let's watch some good old Portuguese wrestling. No, there wasn't anything. I watched WWE on like with my brother because he got like the VHS of like random shows and I would watch that. And it was like pretty popular in the 80s and then it just faded out during the 90s in Portugal. And then at the end of the 90s, 2000, we had a channel which was Sick Radical, which is like radical, like for youngsters. And we had wrestling there. And then I started watching like every single Friday. I would watch SmackDown because it was the only thing that we had. It was just SmackDown and then some pay-per-views. And then eventually we had SmackDown, Raw, pay-per-views. So yeah, there, and then we would wait for WWE to come to Portugal. So that was the thing. I would spend hours and hours on just waiting to buy a ticket And I even remember my big sister one time that I couldn't just be on the queue. She went there, she spent the night, and she got me tickets for the front row. Yeah, she spent like literally the whole night, and I got the front row tickets. And it was like a tradition. Me and my best friend, Sarah, we would always go to the front row and like talk to the wrestlers and stuff like that. Like it was amazing. Like we even met. I know that. I don't know if I should say this, but I will. Randy Orton, he saw my sister, my big sister, which she is like, she's a model, and he was like,
Hmm.
So he started
Hmm.
talking to her, and my sister was like, "Oh, he's ugly," and she doesn't like the type, which is like, it's Randy Orton, come on now, but it's not her type. And she was just like, "Okay, he's hitting on me, whatever." You know who's your fan? Sarah, my best friend. It was like she was obsessed with Randy Orton. So my sister was like, "Oh, this is a good opportunity for the girls like to meet an actual wrestler." So we were at a signing. He was like, "Hey, you're pretty, come here." And my sister was just like, "Hey, I'm not interested, but here's Sarah, here's Raquel." Sarah started crying. I was just like, I don't really care about Randy Orton, come on. Like my cup of tea was John Cena. I was obsessed with Cena. And he was like, "Oh, so you're obsessed with Cena, so do you want to meet Cena?" I was like, yeah. So a couple of hours later, he brought John Cena, and I met John Cena, and I cried. I fell over a plant vase. I started crying, and John Cena was like, "Oh, they're there." Oh, and then he hugged me, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like 14. I just wanted to cry. It was terrible, but amazing. He probably doesn't remember because, come on.
I mean, it's not like that guy has, girls, fawning, or
Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah,
males,
yeah.
even males fawning over him,
Exactly. My
So
fiance loves John Cena. So,
shout, shout out to your fiance. I mean, my mom's from Fiji, and every time, right, they see like my cousins and their kids, they see me go live and whatever, and they're like, "When are you gonna get John Cena?" And I was like, "Dude, you don't know how it's
yeah,
like you
if it was
cannot
that
like,
easy.
yeah, not easy." And especially the fact that I can't see him, so there's
Oh,
that.
yeah, that would be a very difficult interview.
Yeah, yeah, very difficult. I just love the fact that your sister made the hot tag to Sarah. It was like,
Yeah. So here's Sarah. And then he was like, he was so lovely. Like Randy Orton is, I know there's multiple stories back in the day of Randy Orton just being an absolute dickhead. He was
hmm?
so lovely. So lovely to us. We were children. We were 14. My sister was like 20. She was 20. And he was like, "Okay, she doesn't want to flirt with me, so I'm gonna be like the good guy." And they're like legit fans, and he hang out with us like for hours. He was such a
Wow.
great guy. Yeah, such a great guy. Yeah.
That's an incredible story, because it's funny because like Randy Orton is actually what threw me into like my love for MMA. Well, Dan Severn coming to the WWF and
Yeah.
like literally throwing Owen Hart around, but then the other part was like I was living in Bakersfield, which is like kind of like central California, right? And I think there was like either a SmackDown taping or whatever. It was like a B town or what have you. And I just happened to drive into a particular gas station, and there's Randy Orton. So I was like, "Hey, Randy," and this is, I mean, I'm dating myself, but I mean, this was in the era of where autographs still matter, and I
Yeah.
kind of asked him for an autograph, and he told me, "Fuck off," right? So the the very next week, what's his name? God, it was the guy who faced Brock Lesnar, Shane Carwin.
Oh.
Shane Carwin had just faced Brock Lesnar literally the week that I met Randy Orton, and the very next week after he lost his UFC interim title to Brock Lesnar, he did a signing at a Max Muscle supplement shop, like right where I worked, and he couldn't have been more lovely, and he looked like a mountain with a head, and Brock Lesnar looked even bigger than him. So I was just like, "What in the fuck?" Right? But I mean, that's so it's funny that Randy Orton was kind of like the first wrestler of note that you met,
Yeah.
and Randy Orton is the reason why I also cover MMA. So
Yeah.
now, in terms of, I mean, leaving home, right? I saw the excellent piece with WXW that they released a couple weeks ago about, you leaving home, and I mean, people were legitimately doubting you, and again, you can't. It's hard to believe in what you can't see, right? And especially with
Exactly.
not as much wrestling happening in Portugal, right, in the country, let alone where you were. And
Hmm.
then on top of that, in terms of female wrestling, there might have been like all guys in those promotions and what have you, but no female wrestling. So again, you didn't know, but you believed in yourself so much that you went, hey, you know what? WXW is around. I'm
Yeah.
gonna head there and I'm gonna start training. Like, so, I mean, what kind of prompted that? Because that's a lot of fucking cojones.
Yep, yep, big cojones. um, it was literally like I woke up one day, and I not wait woke up someday. I was watching. I feel like it was Takeover, or it was no. It was the UK Championship, the first one.
The tournament, yes.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, those are indie guys. Those are the guys that like they're not like me. They're just a step above me. They're not like WWE superstars, and they're on WWE. Like this is freaking possible. And then it started like to wake up that flame, that fire again within me. And I feel like it was the first Bailey Sasha that I saw at Takeover, and that like I was like freaking hell. Like I know like Bailey from Shimmer. Like she was an independent. She is on NXT Takeover. She is like they're two normal girls. They're normal. They're not like the divas. And I was like, okay, I this is now or never. And I really, really need to pursue this. I really, really need to do this. And then there was the Mae Young Classic as well. I was like, there's Tony. There's Tony who is in WXW. And Tony was like, what, 2019? Something like
1920,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm 23, 24. Like, I should be doing something. Like, I need to. So I woke up. I was like, I'm going to do this. I started researching, started continuing my research because I remember the year before I was researching like best wrestling schools, and then there was Lance Storms, and I checked the price, and it was so super expensive, and I was like, I can't do that. And then I googled European wrestling schools, and I found WXW, and I saw all the people that were there, and I was like, okay, I need to go there. So within like a few months, was yeah, just a few months, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna train. So I spent a week at WXW. I fell in love with that, with WXW. I fell in love with eating, breathing, sleeping wrestling every single day. The academy is fantastic, and I did the academy show that they do like with some of their better students or advanced students. I did the academy show. I got pulled to the office, and it was one of the owners of WXW, and he said, okay, if you really want to pursue wrestling, which you should come here and not to the UK. The UK is flooded with people. There's a lot of people there. Everyone wants to be on the show. Everyone does whatever. And here in WXW, we have shows every single weekend. We have the academy. You should take a chance on yourself and you should come to WXW. I was like, deal. Within a few months, I worked my ass off. I saved a bunch of money, and then I moved to Germany. So there was that.
Wow. And I mean, from Portugal to Germany, I mean, for those who kind of don't know, I mean, in terms of distance and culture wise, I mean, how big was that a jump for you?
It's a cultural shock. Yeah, it's a huge difference. Like, I know that like United States, it's freaking big, and for you to drive from one state to another, it's like 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 hours, something like that.
Mhm.
In Europe, everything is relatively close, but to us, it's very far away. So a plane ride to Germany is like 3 hours and a half, something like that. So it's not that far away. But once you step into Germany, no one spoke English, or they refused to speak English. Only at the academy they spoke English to me. There was very, very difficult. I still to this day can't speak German because it's one hell of a language and it's so fucking difficult.
Mhm.
I can't speak German. Like I can speak Spanish, Portuguese, English, a little bit of French, German. No, sign me out. I can't. I can't. It's so hard. But yeah, like that plus the culture just being super, super weird. Like in Portugal, we're very friendly and very warm. I don't want to say warm culture, but people are warmer.
Yeah.
You arrive in Germany, they're so like straight to business, cold people. And I was just like, oh, okay. No one's friendly, no one likes me, but no, they do like you, but they don't show it. They're just
Mm.
very, very cold and very straightforward. And they don't have a great sense of humor as well. And I'm very like, I'm always sarcastic, and I love to joke around, and they're just like, hmm. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I offended someone. So yeah, it was like a big drastic change. But then there was wrestling, and wrestling is freaking universal.
Yeah.
So there was that.
So what you mean to tell me, and this is earth shattering, you mean Das Wonder Kid Alex Wright is in a proper representation of Germany? What are we
No.
talking about? Come on. Come on.
No. I wish all Germans were like that.
So do I. So do I. But I guess it's like Berlin, not the band, but Alex Wright's, I guess, latter incarnation, right?
Yeah.
And, and I'm gonna have you help me out with this comment because,
Oh, it's let's go, Killer Kelly. Forza
damn
Killer
right.
Kelly. Obrigada, Gary Souza.
Shout out to Gary and Jason Thompson. He says, "Wow, Adam Woods, this is great. I love Kelly. We all do. We
Thank
absolutely
you.
all do." And Jason, he is I mean, he's pretty much the king of SoCal wrestling scene. Anything going on with PWG and all that jazz, like he is on there. He's there. He's the man on the scene. So shout out to Jason. I'm glad you enjoy this, and as do I. Now, I kind of, I guess we'll jump about a bit because Steven Tatum wants to know, out of all the Bloodsport match is on the card for the ladies tournament, who are you most interested to lock up with? And then also, as a fan of pro wrestling, which match or fight are you most excited to see?
Hmm. I'm super excited to see Alexander James versus Tank Man, because not as I know it seems like oh, he's my fiance, so I need to support him. No, I just legit love watching him wrestle. I love. Like in WWE we have our own kind of a blood sport, which is ambition, and
Hmm.
every single ambition that I saw, it was AJ Alexander James versus Timothy Thatcher. And I literally stopped everything that I was doing. I was like, I need to watch that because it's gonna be a fucking real fight. And I just love watching him wrestle. He's so like needy and greedy and just bending all the limbs, and he's so aggressive, and I fucking love it. And this is me as a fan, not as a fiance, because as a fiance I'm like, stop doing that, please, I want you alive. But as a fan I'm like, yeah, fucking punch him. I love it. So I can't wait to see that match. um who else? Oh, definitely Moxley versus Dickinson. Definitely that's gonna be fucking insane. I can't wait to see that match. It's gonna be great. As far as locking up, I am due a rematch with Layla. I fucking love Layla. So, AK, I want to wrestle you. It's like one of my dream matches, but I will fucking wreck you. And then I'll lock up with Layla.
Bam! That's some fucking Ross from Friends action there. Bam! I fucking love that. I mean, and it's funny because it. So there's a couple different things, right? So again, I've been pretty adamant about my love for all things Bloodsport, and I just happened to be at CMMA in Gardena, California, and I was interviewing actually Chad George for his retirement fight. He fought in WEC, fought for Bellator, had a submission that went viral because he told the referee like, "Hey, my opponent's out," and the referee didn't catch it, so that thing went viral, right? But he was in his retirement fight, and Chad George's CMMA cross trains and are teammates of Josh Barnett's UWF USA, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought I saw camera crews kind of filming Barnett, and I'm like, oh, he's probably doing something for Bellator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say anything, whatever. And then I saw, because I kind of stood back and saw them do what they do and him rolling around. It ended up being the first promo that was supposed to be Barnett and Mox. And I was like, oh shit, I was there? Like, what in the fuck? You know, and then I shoot Josh a message and he just gives me the thumbs up. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I think I might have overmarked it, but
Yeah.
still, I was like, I was there for the original fucking promo.
Yeah.
You know, that's got to be a
Totally
footnote.
understandable. Like, I would mark out too.
Yeah, you know, and I guess that's kind of as a personality and whatever. It's like when do and when don't I mark out, and that's kind of been it. Like the talking, it's like I'm kind of a human, so I can figure out the talking part, but it's just like when do I and when do I not, you know? So that's kind of the weird one, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, Jesus, like that Dick. I mean, I had Dickinson on I think last week, and holy fuck, like that dude is intense. He's tearing it up, and United Wrestling Network's Prime Time, which also is found on Fight. Alexander.
Oh, I'm losing you. I think I lost you for a second.
So Alexander's his style is on.
Oh goddamn! Yeah, I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. I'm go ahead and jump out and then works.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out.
This stuff happens. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and do that. Hey guys, it's Gordon Woods, and I'm a part of the hell is residing in the real estate that is in between my ears. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Yeah, there we go. We're back. This YouTube channel for all things pro wrestling and MMA.
Okay, I don't know what happened to the internet. Just stopped hearing you. Oh, it's continuing. Still has problems. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll jump out. Does it work? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No? Okay. You talk. I'm going to jump out.
Oh, okay. Okay, I guess I'm here alone, guys.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. So there you go. Thank you for bearing with us. That was weird, but it happens. It happens.
Yeah. You were talking about Moxley and Dickinson.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's that's going to be a fucking crazy fight. But so to it is, I mean, Alexander James, and when his name got announced for Bloodsport, almost like Matt, right? Most people didn't really know him, right? And it's again, like if you're familiar with that European independent scene, especially WXW, you should know Alexander James, and you would know
Exactly.
exactly why he is on this card and featured so prominently.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that just because that's your fiance. And oh yeah, she's going to be doing this very podcast tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's that, but. I mean, it is absolutely true. And I love all things catch. I love everything that's gritty and, like catch as catch can, that style. And Alexander James, if that's the type of wrestling you like, he checks every fucking box.
He
Just
does. He's fucking
100%.
great.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you said as a fan, you're you want this match to happen so bad, but as a fiance, you're like, oh, what the hell? And it's so funny because I was watching the UFC Fight Island Declassified documentary, and there was a very similar situation with Megan O'Leary, who's a UFC correspondent and
Yeah.
interviewer, right? And her husband is Joseph Benavidez, who is challenging for the flyweight title. And literally, she could not even watch. She wasn't in the Yaz air bubble arena. She was outside with one of the other production assistants and just going like, holy shit, holy shit. She couldn't even watch. She wasn't even in the fucking arena. And that's how crazy it was. And it's got to be kind of similar, right?
Yeah, I totally feel that. Like, I'm watching the match, I'm like getting into it as a fan, and then I remember, oh, there's something that's supposed to happen that I won't like. So I'm like, oh no, I don't want to see it, but I want, but I don't, but I want. Like the other day at training, we were just like wrestling around, and then someone asked if he could do a moonsault, and he was like, yeah, I can. I was like, no, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he fucking did like the best moonsault ever. And he's like 230, 225, and
Mm-hmm.
he did it. And I just wanted to fucking smack him in the head, because what if that went wrong? Oh my god, I would be so fucking angry. But at the same time, it's very impressive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and you hear horror stories of, especially like that moonsault, and you called it the best moonsault ever. So again, there's some Ross Geller from Friends to one Christopher Daniels, because
Yeah.
he has a move in his moveset called the BME, right? The best
Yeah.
moveset ever. So, but I mean, horror stories like, Jericho when he was in SMW, Smoky Mountain, he did it on a dirty bag of clothes and ended up breaking his arm. There was a infamous Hayabusa incident in FMW where he lands on his head, and it's just like that's a very, and it's funny because it's used especially now in kind of today's wrestling, but that move is fucking dangerous.
It is. It is. I told him right before he did it, please don't do it. And then he just did it and then did it again. Just he doesn't fucking care.
And again, it's that never fucking care attitude that you're going to see out of Josh Alexander. I mean, I'm sorry,
Alexander
Alexander James.
James.
What the fuck? What the fuck did I do that for? Yeah, Alexander James on October 11th at Bloodsport on Fight TV. So there's that. And it's funny because I was actually going to bring this up, but Jason does it, so I'm going to answer it. But in terms of the feeling of facing Miko Satomura in the Mae Young Classic, holy fucking shit, that had to be, I mean, one of the pioneers of Joshi wrestling, right? Especially in the current era. And that is round one of the Mae Young Classic for you. What, I mean, could there be bigger stakes? Could there be bigger nerves?
No, like I got the news. It was Sarah Del Rey giving out the matches. And it was Sarah Del Rey standing in front of me. She was like, oh, do you want to know your match? And I was like, oh, Sarah Del Rey. I'm like, oh my god, like try not to mark out because it's fucking Sarah Del Rey. And she said, okay, Killer Kelly versus Meiko Satomura. I didn't react. My face went like, and she was like, are you happy? And I'm like, it's Meiko Satomura. She was like, yes, Meiko Satomura. I was like, Meiko Satomura, oh my god. I just like, this is fucking cool. I fucking love Meiko. And it's just like, it was fucking unreal. It was unreal meeting her. It was unreal being in the ring with her. Everything felt so fluid. Everything like connected. It was like, it's one of my favorite matches ever. of my entire life. I love it. Like that whole moment after the match, it's not planned. It was just me bowing down to her and her bowing down to me, and it was what we felt. We went backstage. Triple H, William Regal, they hugged us and they said, "What a good job! What a great match!" We hugged each other. We started crying. Me and Meiko Satomura, like it. I have chills right now
Yeah.
talking about that. Like it was the best moment of my life. One of the best moments.
Yeah, that's got to be cool because I mean, not only are you facing, I mean, a perennial, I mean, legend of the sport, and you're getting that opportunity, but you're also testing your metal at the same time.
Mhm.
You're learning from a veteran of, I mean, decades worth of experience right in front of you, to help you hone your craft for the next kind of 20 years of your career, right?
Yeah,
And what to and what not to do, and how to control the crowd, like things that again you will only learn. As great as the dojo at WXW is, these are things that are only going to be learned in the ring, putting in the time. So,
exactly.
I mean, what was the biggest thing that you learned from that match with Mika?
What I was capable to do, definitely. She brought out the best in me, and it just made me want more and love wrestling even more. It just like I can't wait for a rematch. And when she asked me to go to Japan, it was like another moment like, oh my god, Satomura wants me in her promotion. Oh my god. And I'm still waiting for that rematch. I need to have that match. I need it like for myself and possibly for the fans. I don't know if they would like to see another match, but I would love that.
Now, I mean, was theoretically speaking, if the whole kind of COVID situation hadn't happened, I mean, was that kind of one of the things to check off your list to go and tour, make a tour of Japan?
Yes, again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I already talked with Mako, so I did one tour. It was super short because I had WWE commitments. But then once me and WWE parted ways, she was one of the first people that I messaged, and I was like, do you want me back in Japan? I know we talked about it, but the schedules never like really fit, and now I'm available." And she was like, "Oh my god, yes, we need to figure it out. You need to come." And then COVID.
And and if you're you know someone who prides themselves in their work, in any degree, right? Whether
Mhm.
you're in an office or, I mean, a competitive athlete such as yourself, the fact that to earn the respect of your peers, that is paramount, right? And to earn the respect of, again, somebody that has, I mean, literally done this, and especially at the high level for
Yeah.
over 20 years, right? I mean, Joshi wrestling, I mean, it's so I'm a fan of my most favorite promotion in terms of MMA is Invicta, because I think in a lot of ways, women's, even with Chris Cyborg and Ronda Rousey and all of these people, women's wrestling, I mean, women's MMA is
Yeah.
still kind of where, men's MMA was about 25 years ago. And I
Mhm.
feel the same with women's wrestling. Of course, there's here in North America, Shimmer and Shine and different promotions like that. But I mean, I think when you put a female match on the card, whether it be MMA or pro wrestling, those are going to be the ones that when people are looking, on what match was their favorite when they're going to their cars, generally it's the female match on the card.
Definitely. Definitely. Because I feel like we need to prove so much more than men that we put on a fucking great show.
No, 100%, and that is absolutely true. When you think about, especially with, women's wrestling here in North America, for the large part, it was a sideshow, right? It would be the dwarfs. There's a particular
Yeah,
type of, non-PC way to refer to them, and
yeah.
then the women,
The women.
right?
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
it's not for, Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah and Joyce Grable and kind of, I mean, pioneers. I mean, you talk about women's evolution and revolution and what have you. These are
Mhm.
gals that were paid, I mean, literally 20% less than the men, their male counterparts,
Mhm.
and that spirit resides in you in this current day of women's wrestling, the Joshi expansion in Japan. And that's the reason why Joshi wrestling in itself, aside from All Japan, New Japan, in all of that stuff, is still very strong. There are
Mhm.
Joshi fans, right? Joshi wrestling fans that don't watch All Japan, that don't
Yep.
watch New Japan, that don't watch WWE. They just love their Joshi wrestling.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So in terms of like inspirations, like right now, right? Because I mean, you are Killer Kelly, right? You have that smash mouth style. Uh, who are some of the kind of present day inspirations that you take from?
Suzuki.
Yes, I love that answer. But go ahead, elaborate.
That's that's it. Suzuki. Like, look at him. His like not giving a fuck attitude. I will fuck you up attitude. Do not piss me off attitude. That that's me.
Yeah,
And I aim to be like him. I love him. And because you said like present day, like current wrestlers, it has to be Suzuki. Or if you ask like all my inspirations would be Suzuki and Shibata. I love Shibata. Shibata is my number one forever. I love him so much.
yo, that's absolutely great to say. And again, Minoru Suzuki, fuck. And I'm just gonna throw this out, Kazanare, fuck yeah, right?
Kazunirare.
But yeah, here's the thing about Suzuki, right? He is not just for pro wrestling, but I mean, Japanese MMA
Mhm.
in a large instance wouldn't, if it not for him and Funaki, there would be no Pangrays. So without any Pangrays, you wouldn't have Barnett, you wouldn't have Boz Rutan, you wouldn't have a lot of these guys, Ken Shamrock, that ended up becoming Hall of Famers,
Yep.
in one instance, and champions in one instance, and promotion for I mean, literally the next decade or two to come. But if not for Funaki and Suzuki, Pancrase would have never existed, and you probably would have heard the names, but you would probably wouldn't have heard it as quickly as you did.
Yeah, yeah. So all hail King Suzuki.
Hell yes, and yeah, Jason Tom says, "Oh my God, thank you, absolutely." And then fucking Katsuyori Shibata, right? This is a guy again, and I love it because that's one of the reasons why I dig what Barnett's doing with Bloodsport. Barnett, I mean, fashioning himself as a catch wrestler first and foremost, right? And he
Mhm.
catches everything. And when he trains his students, and Shayna Baszler is one of them, right?
Yep.
Trains it in
Great
all aspects.
example.
Yes, big example, right? But you've got Barnett's, you've got obviously. Oh my God, why am I blanking on the fucking name? I have his keychain here. Sakuraba, duh,
Uh,
Sakuraba, right? Sakuraba, these are literal lineages from, Billy Riley of the Wigan Snake Pit in England. You're literal descendants of Billy Robinson, trained
yeah.
under Billy Robinson, right? In all things catch.
Like,
And now, you have present day examples. I love the fact one of the awesome things about Shayna Baszler is again, you have a direct descendant from Wigan, England, right? From Billy Riley to Billy Robinson to Josh Barnett to Shayna Baszler. There is a Wigan catch wrestling direct descendant,
yeah.
and it's a fucking woman.
Yeah. Like, Shayna could be like any ass in front of her. She's a fucking badass. I would love to be her. I would love to learn from her as well. I would love, love, love. Like, I met her a couple of times. She's just like a badass creature. She
She
is
is.
amazing and a really great person.
I well again, I'm a big believer in putting things into the atmosphere. You said it right here. Again, what is it, October 4th, 2020?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, hopefully by October 4th, 2021, we get to see Killer Kelly versus Shayna Baszler. I
Oh
love
my
that.
god, I would love that.
Just saying, let's put that shit into the atmosphere. That's what I'm
Or
saying.
at least train with her and spend some time with her learning everything that she knows. I would love for her to take me under her wing.
That would be great. That would be so great. That would be great for you personally and
Yeah.
professionally. But I mean, just for the sports of pro wrestling and MMA as well, right?
Mhm.
I mean, to have those, I guess, nuggets of knowledge that she learned,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
quite soundly. I mean,
Yeah.
that could only make you better.
Yeah, exactly. Like, um, I feel like not many people know, but I don't have like a martial art
Yeah.
background at all. Like 0%. I took some classes, that was it. But I've always been like very fond of MMA, like watching it. I would love it. And like every single pay-per-view that we had in Portugal, like televised, I would watch it. Really, really love it. But I have no background whatsoever. But since I got into WXW, of course, I trained with Thatcher.
Hmm.
I trained with Walter, who learned from Thatcher as well. Trained with my fiance Alexander James, who has amateur wrestling background. I trained with Alexander Wolf, which is catch wrestling.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I've trained with basically all the ringkampf, and like I train with them. I'm not an expert like by any means, not at all, but I learn from them. I know some stuff, and then I have my own style, and I'm very nifty and crafty. So I have my own ways into getting into stuff. Like I'm going in just talking about Bloodsport. I'm not going into this tournament having an MMA background like AK, jiu-jitsu background like Snow, amateur wrestling like Layla, but I have absorbed everything around me from Ringkampf, from my fiance, and I absorbed that into the Killer Kelly, which is the badass attitude, the I'll fuck you up attitude, whatever means necessary. So
I
that's gonna
love it. I love it. Now, I mean, because we're gonna definitely close it out with Bloodsport, but one thing that I definitely, since I have you here, your relationship with Tony Storm, right? I mean, that's you have learned as much from her as she has learned from you. Um,
I
like,
would say more I learned from her.
okay, no, we'll do that. But I mean, what is that relationship and kind of, I don't want to say mentor disciple, but definitely in that. Oh, like what has she meant to you?
She means the world to me. Um, she was my first big match in WXW. She took my title, and it was Tony Storm and Melanie Gray, who is a WXW kind of veteran. She has been there for a long, long while, being the only female in WXW. So both of them tried to build up this women's division by themselves, just the two of them. And then I came in, and literally it was like a not passing of a torch, but okay, now I'm here. I'm gonna help you guys out as well. And then I started to have my matches with Tony, and I learned so much from her. She made me look so good, and just everything. Like wrestling with her is so relaxed. It's like we have a good chemistry, and I just started learning so much from her. She made me feel more comfortable being myself in the ring, so I owe her the world. uh, I like the other one of my, like, I have two favorite matches, that's it, or three favorite matches, but the first one is with Mako, and then I have my 16 karat gold match with Tony Storm, and that's
Hmm.
one that I really like. It's in my heart, and I love it, and I'm very thankful for Tony. Very, very thankful.
And I think she is you know, from you as well, because I mean, it's funny that you learned, you know, you sat under the learning tree that is Mako, and then also the learning tree that is Tony, and both of those, you know, you got British wrestling and Japanese wrestling, you know, and there's again two strong lineages in terms of, you know, what
Yeah.
wrestling is, what wrestling should be,
Yeah.
and you know, it definitely transferred to you, so that's amazing. Now, in terms of obviously we mentioned Minko and Tony, but in terms of people that have helped and, you know, enrich your life and career along the way, there have been many. So let's get some shout outs out of the way.
Ooh. So a list of thank yous for my career. Okay, number one. That there's there's no order whatsoever,
No,
but
no, not at all.
yeah, just names top of my head. Mako, Tony, Alexander James, Walter, Timothy Thatcher, Alexander Wolf. Um, so that's it. And of course, my head coach in Portugal, Bruno Brito. And yeah, that's it. I would love to put Shibata and Suzuki on the list, but I've never met them.
But
And I
it's
would
still
love
an
to train with
influence.
them.
Still an influence.
Okay. Shibata, Suzuki, and the good almighty Kane. And yeah, another influence. I was very, very, very influenced by Loki as well. Very.
Yeah, I mean that's I mean there it's almost like Randy Orton. There's a lot of stories and what have you, but in terms of
Yeah.
innovation, you know, you can't, you know, especially his run, you know, with I think I might have that first Ring of Honor DVD, and it's
I
like
have it. I have all of them. That's how I fell in love with Loki. It was because of that. I was like, oh fuck, he's fucking badass. I want to be like
mhm,
him too. He's so cool. And as you said, like there's a lot of stories like Randy Orton, but I met him in WXW at World Tech Festival, and I couldn't be more like thankful for him. He was great to me. Great advice. Like when I met him, I didn't want to meet him because I was marking out. I saw him. I went to a corner. I was like, I can't. I really can't because I'm gonna make a fool of myself. I'm gonna cry and do all that shit.
yeah,
And then someone just pulled me and said, "Hey, look, he wants to meet you." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no! I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't." Then I met him. Lovely, lovely, lovely guy. Gave me a lot of advices, good advices, and also I feel like I've never shared this before, but since we're shouting out people, shouting out, giving shout outs.
yeah.
um, Once I left WWE, one of the first people that reached out to me giving me advice was Loki. Yeah, it was great. I literally wanted to cry. Of course, I didn't tell him that. I hope he doesn't see this.
I hope he
But
does.
no, I became full of myself. Even I told who was it? Yeah, Eddie Kingston. He somehow knew about my about me being a mark for Loki. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call Brandon. I'm gonna tell him. You're gonna talk to him on the phone." I'm like, fuck you, Eddie. I will fuck you up. Stop with that shit. I won't. Please don't do that to me." And then having messages from Loki just like being very inspiring and saying what I could do and that I would take like over the indie scene and everything would be okay with me. Like I I would have like a great future in wrestling. And also Walter. Walter was amazing that way, and Alexander Wolf. They were very, very like, Kelly, you don't need WWE. You're gonna be great. And I'm like, you guys believe in me. Why? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh God. I mean, I love them both for different reasons, but I mean, Walter specifically. I mean, everything that Imperium is doing. Holy shit. I mean, NXT UK, and I say it all the time. For me, and you don't, I don't want to get you heat, but for me, the best week to week programming that WWE has put out, right, has been NXT UK, and
I mean,
that's
just the talent that is there, like the whole Imperium, like
Mustache
great.
Mountain,
Yeah,
fucking. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Just on. I mean, I think everything that Ginny, fucking a, like
yeah.
there's nobody that looks, sounds, or presents herself like Ginny. So again, that
Yeah,
like if she gets a spot on the main roster, she's gonna fucking kill everything. So I'm just
yeah.
saying.
Like my favorite right now, it's one of my bestest friends, is Aoife Valkyrie. Like no one moves like her. No one. She is the future of WWE. She is the future of the women's division and the whole WWE. She is fucking great. I love her. She's gonna do so good.
I can't disagree with that. That's yeah, 100%. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna do that.
yeah.
Now, in terms of October 11th, right? When you set foot in Indianapolis, Indiana for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, what are people that are tuning in to fight and may even be there on the fairgrounds? What are they going to see from Killer Kelly?
Expect the unexpected from me. That's all I can say. Because as I told you before, I don't have a badass background like all of the girls, but I'm nifty and I can move around, and it's literally expect the unexpected because there's nothing to expect from me since I don't have a legit background. But I'll have a great showing. I've been trained by the best. The best have given me badass tips, and I'm not gonna let anyone down. Like I'm not um who was it? Like I am part of Ringkampf. I'm not gonna let down Ringkampf. I'm not gonna let down Walter. I'm not gonna let down Alexander Wolf. And I'm not gonna let down Axel Dieter Jr. I don't know why I said Alex. Axel Dieter Jr.
You know what
I
I
want
mean?
to. And of course, I'm not gonna let down my fiance because he said that if I don't win the tournament, I cannot come back home. So there's that.
Those are big stakes. And I
Yeah.
mean, I remember, like iterations of like when Ken Shamrock or so. Oh no, fuck Bob Holly. Bob
Mm.
Holly, his wife, right? I'm friends with his wife, and uh, I think he was doing like one of those tough man competitions and whatever. And she literally said, "You're not coming home unless you bring home the fucking gold." So I'm just like, "Fuck." There you go. So
That's me.
yeah, there you go. I mean, that's a bit of fucking motivation under your
Yeah.
ass. So there it
Yeah.
is. Now, for those who haven't already done so, and especially as you march in to Josh Barnett's Bloodsport on October 11th, live on Fight TV, where can they find Killer Kelly on social media?
They can find me on Twitter at Kelly_WP, on Instagram Kelly Wrestling, and that's about it. Yeah. Oh, and you can also see this goof side of me that you've seen this whole interview on twitch.tv/Killer Kelly, because that's me. It's being laughing all the time, swearing all the time, and just scary horror shit that I love.
Yeah, and especially in 2020, or we could use a lot more things, laughing, joking, and things to love, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
And
damn
a
right.
good old bilingual swearing.
Fuck yeah, man. Because anybody that tells you that they learned, if they learn another language, that they learned the good words before the bad, they're fucking full of shit. And I'm going to call you out on it because
Hell yeah.
fucking puto is the first thing that I learned ever since I learned Spanish. So there you go. Just saying. Just saying. I grew up in England. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? But it is absolutely lovely talking to you, and I mean, an honor and a privilege to do so. And
Thank you.
yes, absolutely. And then we thank you guys for checking out this very interview. And if you haven't already done so, well, you know what? I'm gonna let Zeta Zhang do the talking.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe